It's the Morning Hustle with L'Oreal and Kyle Santillian. And of course, man, our door is always open for all types of guests. And his brother that's in the building right now has had massive success and is back to do it once again, representing for his hometown city of Atlanta. Trinidad James.
Let's go!
What's up, bro?
Man, everything up and down, baby.
I know
you
that's
know what
right.
I'm saying?
Came in here looking like money.
Hey, man, look, we're trying to get to it. It's the
love
morning
it.
hustle, baby.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For sure. But no, it's a blessing. Thank y'all for allowing me to be in y'all presence, allowing me to just be of value. You know, that's the goal, and that's what chapter I'm in now in life, in career, in legacy. It's like, well, you know, how can I be of value to the city of Atlanta?
Yeah.
You know, at this point in time, this year 13 for me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
It is year 13, but let's say the average casual person, you know, they know you from All Gold, everything, and they might not know how you've been busy over the course of those 13 years. They might have said he dropped that one song and then he disappeared.
Right.
So for the people that don't know, what has Trinidad James been doing?
I think I went from All Go Everything, and that was like a 5-year, 6-year stint of like practice and learning of like, okay, what industry am I in? I don't have any background in music. So when I started, I came straight out of real life into this fantasy world of what we call the music industry. And I think from there, I was able to understand, okay, there's more value in being the best entertainer than trying to be the best rapper.
Yeah.
So I started focusing on like, well, how can I be the better entertainer? So we've been able to start doing movie stuff. So we did like the soundtrack for like Kevin Hart with Night School and Aladdin with Will Smith. And we started started a creative agency where we do the behind the scenes for a lot of people in the industry, from Will Smith to Sexy Red, Money Long, Kaylani, and just being of more value, being able to play in movies. Like I was in Uncut Gems. I was in Pitch Perfect 3. Like I said, work on the soundtrack.
Killing it.
Started my own brand. It's called Homework, which is a spinoff of Homework, and we're a curriculum-based brand where we pick a muse, and that muse is someone or something that we believe you should do your homework on. You know, I got my sock brand, which is called Dad Socks, which is the Dad stands for Destroying All Doubt.
Damn.
You know, I've been doubted. I've been doubted since I came in this game, and you know, instead of dwelling on the doubt, I'm more focused on destroying the doubt, because that's all you can do. You know, you don't not like me. It's just the perception of the internet, according to how it's spent, it can go against you or with you.
Yeah.
And with me and the internet, we don't always hit it off all the time, but I always make sure that in person is worth it because I know my intention. And, you know, from behind the scenes with our creative agency, which is 567 Agency, the 5 stands for change, the 6 stands for love, and the 7 stands for completion. You know, everybody has a step 1. They want to get to 10, but in reality, most entrepreneurs, most creatives, they don't want to go through the process to success, which is the 567.
Right.
My journey has been so special, so unique. The ups and the downs have really molded me into the man that I love to be when I look in the mirror, because I know that, you know, I wasn't faking the funk.
Yeah.
What I failed at, I didn't fail at it. Whatever I learned from it.
There you go.
You know, and so now we teach the process to youngins, and you know, I'm not big on ever telling anybody to do it. I work with mostly women behind the scenes.
I see that.
I don't like telling women what to do, but I do like reminding you who you are. Yeah, exactly. You cannot tell a woman with especially not a woman with a bag. You can't tell a woman with a bag.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
But
sure.
you came, and when you came in, you disrupted the whole system in such a dope way, doing something that we never seen before. Just now when you came in, you like, I like your hoodie. I actually created this. So that was a compliment to me because I know you come in the fashion side of things, and that's where you come from.
Correct.
Now, Yachty just was, not recently, but not too long ago, he was saying about the fashion in Atlanta, that Atlanta has taken over the fashion. And when I sit down and think about all the creative styles that have come from Atlanta, what is the real influence, do you think, that's based in Atlanta when it comes to fashion? Because you don't see a lot of people walking around like you on an everyday basis.
Well, you see, the thing about it is because Atlanta is like, you know, when we're the people that originated, it's in you, not on you. You know, so it's the people the people are the accessory. The culture, the confidence, that is our superpower. That's really our fashion. Because this is also a big hub that a lot of people like to come, and, you know, Southern hospitality, we'll welcome you in here. So we have so many people that's not from Atlanta, in Atlanta, doing business in Atlanta, but they're bringing their style to Atlanta. But what we do is we'll see what you got going on, and we'll turn it up in a way that's like, whoa. So it's really a team effort, especially when it comes to culture. It's like Atlanta brings the confidence and everybody else brings their clothing. They bring their style.
Oh, I see that.
So that's really what the misconception is. That's why, like, people will be mad at Yachty for saying something like that. Like, man, you know, I'm from New York. It's like, no, you're right. The style and the clothing and certain looks, a lot of looks, you know what I'm saying, they do originate from the East Coast. They do originate from the DMV. But the actual person, the type of confidence that is carried with when it gets put on the back of an Andre 3000. You know what I'm saying? Well, that ain't your style. That ain't it ain't about you no more. It's about Andre. You know, so it's really, that's what you see. You know, it's nothing that I've done or how I'm wearing that is like, oh, this is only made in Atlanta or whatever, but I'm made in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, once again, it's the people that makes everything pop.
But you started with the nails first, I will say. And that's something that blew up and has become a great discussion where some people are calling it feminine. I think it's rock starish. I've gotten into full-blown arguments. You know this, Kyle, with Claudia Jordan, with Kyle. With Kyle about it. And because I like it. You know, so what was the first time that you decided, like, all right, I'm going to get my nails painted, or I'm going to do my nails? Like, how was that experience?
It's probably about 7 years ago, right?
Okay.
And for me, it takes back to, once again, I was born in Trinidad, grew up in Atlanta.
Right.
And so just that whole player pimp culture was very influential for me. I've been fortunately going to strip clubs since I was a teenager.
Take Kyle with you. He hasn't gone to Atlanta.
No, I need to go.
Hey, man, stay out of there. If you ain't been, stay out of there.
No, I've been in a strip club.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been to, you know, everybody talks about Magic City and the big ones in Atlanta. Haven't been to those.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, stay out of there, bro. Stay out of there. You know what I'm saying? But if you
now I gotta go.
But I say this to say that those things really have an impression on my mind when I was a kid growing up in Atlanta. And then fast forward to, me getting into the music business, and then going to LA. When I went to LA, a particular video I did was one called Palm Trees. And in this video, I didn't know anybody who was shooting for me. It was completely new. It was really a blessing in disguise because I was coming off of like 7 to 8 months of depression. Because I had writer's block, and I needed a new tribe. I needed somebody to really, really pour into me. And one of the first OGs who poured into me the way that I wanted to be poured into, because I don't like to be lectured at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I like to be talked with, not talked at.
Right.
Was Bishop Don Juan Magic from LA, or I met him in LA. And he introduced me to so many people that really, changed my trajectory on the West Coast, and, really opened my mind back up and got me back in my bag. And I say that to say I was watching a documentary one day, and it was about pimp culture, and he popped up in it, and his mom was speaking, and she was showing old pictures of him when he was a young man, and she was talking about, the girls used to be banging on her door, like, can your son come outside? And she showed a picture of him and these 2 or 3 girls standing together, and I'm looking at the picture, and I looked closer, and I was like, is this pinky gold? And he had a gold pinky. And I was like, oh, man, this is crazy. So to pay homage to him as a big homie, I started just getting my pinkies gold. And then the algorithm, when you start paying attention to nails, it starts showing you all type of nails. Yeah. And then I just realized that there was art in nails. Right. And I was like, oh, I'm a big art guy. Everything for me is in the creative world. And I started meeting different nail artists, because I don't like calling them nail techs. It feels derogatory. Yeah. That just had crazy art styles, and that's when I kind of got hooked and just started. I was like, I would just get my pinkies done real crazy, and then I was like, I want more art. And so I just started doing all my nails, and it just became comfortable for me. But what I will say is that I'm not delusional to a person that doesn't get it, or is not with it. I'm not doing it for anybody's son to be with it. I'm only doing it's a very selfish thing.
Right.
It's me. Like, I can walk this way. I can carry this. It works for me. It won't work for anybody that's trying to just do something that you saw.
Right.
To me, it has to be a calling. What really upsets people is that when the wrong person does something, and they do it the wrong way. When the right person does it, and once again, like I said, the internet is fickle. The way that the internet will show you something, they'll give you one angle and make it look like you the devil. But if you look on the other side, it was like, no, I was talking to God. You know what I'm saying? I just looked this way. And so once again, it's all about perception, or it's all about who's doing it, why you're doing it. I think intention is everything, man. It's everything.
You're obviously a very artistic person. You know what I mean? You put a lot of thought into what it is that you're putting out into the world. How does that factor into when you're directing music videos and things visually for other people? Because that artist will have their vision. You know what I mean? You show up how you show up. You know what I mean? So how do you pour into them and come to a common ground?
Well, usually when I show up for others, I don't show up like how I'm showing up right now, because I don't want to get in the way of their light, especially because I work with a lot of women, and they already have to deal with a lot of anxiety of having to be that girl. And so I more show up, hair braided down, here to work and here to pour into that person. I'm really big on selling confidence. And I do my homework. No pun intended. That's why our brand is called that. That's a saying that I've been saying for a long time. I'll go study how you started. I go, when somebody gets under the retainer with me, I go talk to your friends and your family, and just to understand, like, not just you, but the people in your ecosystem, to figure out what is the thing that's going to help this ecosystem scale. If it's not scaling, it's failing. So, it really just boils down to doing the homework, seeing what the last video looked like, seeing what the first album looked like, seeing what it looked like when everybody loved you. You know what I'm saying? So that we can remember what that feeling is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to change you once again or tell you what to do, but I can remind you who you are or show you who you can be.
Right.
Yeah.
So so we know that you helping behind the scenes with all these artists. I'm talking about making these people even bigger artists, right? I just got a bone to pick with you. Why Bhad Bhabie? Because she is going a little crazy right now when it comes to when it comes to culture and you getting involved in our culture and then playing in our face in the culture, I get a little funny with that. So I see recently she had her baby father wearing the White Lives Matter shirt, and I know she seems to be now influenced by Kanye. But what did you see in her that you felt like she could use, that you would pour into her?
Well, with Bhad, I started her career, but I haven't got a chance to work with her since I started it.
Okay.
Musically. Like, it started off as a label trying to do an experiment. She had all this clout from Dr. Phil.
Right.
And it was like, well, how do you turn this into something more? And, one thing about white people that grew up around black people is that as like any child, you sponge crazy. But when you take a culture and when you take black culture and you really implement it into whatever you got already, it either makes you look crazy or it makes you really, really powerful. And I say that to say that, when they wanted to do music when it was like, oh, we want to do music for her, I didn't have a true opinion at the time, because this was also in the beginning of my writing phase, for women. And, the song, I wrote the song, and then another writer took what I did and flipped it for her.
Okay.
And so when it all worked out, went platinum and all these things,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Boom, her career started. It's amazing. When we worked, I was like, oh, wow, this is a little girl.
Yeah.
You know, she's 15, 14 years old from Florida, growing up around all the rah, 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 rah. It's like, I get it. Like, when I came from Trinidad, where I was born, and came to America originally, I was in Jacksonville, Florida, so I understand
Right.
that dynamic of blacks and whites that grew up together. It's really, really interesting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They say the N-word, all type of stuff in deep Florida. It's interesting. And so I said it to say, there's no excuse for using our culture incorrectly. But what she's doing now, you know, people that are up under my agency, they have something to do with writing music for her, but that's the thing about the freedom of speech here in America. You can't control what people say, and people say anything. So, to go back to what you're saying, Laura, it is more of like, I don't agree with the things that she do either.
Yeah.
But I haven't saw her in so long. It ain't really on me.
Yeah, you ain't pouring into
You know what I'm
her
saying?
like that
I did
anymore.
her. I did her first song she ever did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that song went platinum.
And I guess in a sense you could kind of relate, right? Because at one point in time, nobody wanted to hear the N-word, 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 and you were definitely saying it a lot.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the thing about it, like, you are a product of your environment, and if that is how everybody around you is talking, then that's how you're going to talk, especially when life changes. Like, now you have to, music is nothing but the soundtrack to your life.
Yeah.
So you're going to do the things that you hear around you and say, you know what I'm saying? But is that an excuse? No, it's not an excuse.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah. You did that song for her way back then, but you've also been a part of one of the biggest pop culture songs in history with Uptown Funk.
Come on.
And
now.
yo, I just found that out recently, bro.
Amen,
I didn't know you
amen.
had a hand in that.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and how did that impact your life?
It was beautiful, man. It was in the midst of my depression that I spoke to y'all about. And when it happened, I wasn't even really fully grasping what was happening because my mind just wasn't in the right place. But when the song came out, I was just now getting out of that slump, and I was like, oh.
Don't believe me, just why.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it was a blessing.
Who reached out to you, or did you reach
Bruno
Okay.
reached out to us. Then TIG, Think It's a Game Records here in Atlanta, they reached out to me like, hey, Bruno, I want to get down, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, whatever, sure. My mind was out of it, so I was like, let's get it.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing guy. One of the things a lot of people don't know, when we finally got to meet, he told me, he was like, man, we threw away this song 4 times.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Because there was no hook. You know what I'm saying? Like, to a certain extent, like, it wasn't full bones yet. And then finally, he had been such a fan of me since I came out, which I wouldn't know, because that's how this game goes. Like, people be watching you, but they will not tell you that they're watching you. Come on.
Now.
Ring
Talk
that bell
about
one more
it,
time.
preach.
Ring that
You
bell
better
one more
preach.
time.
But got your whole style.
Everything, right? And that it is what it is.
Yeah.
It was happening before I got here, and it's still happening now while I'm still here.
Right.
So it's not something that I let bother me anymore, or ever really let it bother me anyway, because it's like, hey, I'm thankful to have something worth being influential about.
Sure.
And so, boom, one of the cool things about it was the song came out. When we had to get the business right, I was able to be like, hey, instead of like, taxing for more money or getting a bigger piece of the pie, I was like, hey, I want to get better as an artist, and I want to be challenged. I want to work with Bruno. I want to work with Mark Ronson as a part of my deal.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
Do it.
I love
And
that.
that's that classic line from your song and turn it into magic.
Boom, boom, boom. And even the cadence of the first verse is also a part of it too, because that's a part of writing too. It's like, you can also have ownership based on, like, if somebody takes the cadence of your flow to, even if they got new words, your flow still has an IP also. And that was pretty amazing, because I didn't think nothing of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm young, like, I don't know. And but the most beautiful thing about it, to go back to what your question is of like, what was that like? The most important thing about it, when I got to work with him is that he reminded me of something that nobody up to that point, 2015 when this happened, had ever said to me. It's like, hey, man, you moving forward and you being progressive and you looking at the future, but you're not studying your blueprint. You're not studying yourself and everybody else studying you.
Right.
And that's what I've realized over this, over this time. Like now, especially these last 3 years, everybody been really big on pouring flowers and giving flowers because it's just a thing. Now everybody
Trend now.
it's a trend. Like,
Give them their flowers,
But I'll take them.
Oh,
Bring 'em in.
please. I done planted all these seeds.
Right.
Give me mine. A
Right.
whole bouquet, baby. And, that changed everything. I walked out of that session, and it was supposed to be a 2-hour session because he's a busy man. And we ended up working for 6-7 hours because we talked for like 3.
Yeah, I love that.
And I just got out of that. That's when my pen got crazy.
Right.
Because I just like took it back to understanding like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, when you pour into people, somebody comes and pours into you as well.
Amen.
Was that
Amen.
the same thing? Because you had the something with Beyonce too, using some. Did you get like the credit that way as well? Did you get the
Well,
phone call?
what thing with Beyonce?
Didn't she sample a piece of yours as well?
Nah. With Beyonce, I can't take credit for anything true Beyonce yet that's came out. Well, at least I ain't got paid for it yet, so
Okay.
maybe send me over that paper. But, what's really beautiful about the Queen is that our mindset when it comes to making music is especially like what to do with the music from a visual standpoint is very similar. It's very, like when I'm thinking of something or something I want to do, Beyonce does it. And it's like, wow. And then like she's very aware because I've got to meet her twice. Well, 1.5 times. But
That's interesting.
Yeah. Because like Jay, he I ain't gonna say a big fan of me, but he got a lot of respect for my artistry because I've got to meet him a couple times, and both times I met him, she was with him. However, one time she spoke, the second time she waved. So that's why I say 1.5.
I get it.
That's the half.
Wave get you a half.
That's a whole from the Queen.
Wave at you, you gonna count that. You gonna talk about that for the rest of your life.
That's right.
I'm counting it. All right, I'm gonna take my wave. But when I do truly get a chance, because like we've been writing things and sending it her way, and she's been liking it. Like she's even cut one of our records. If Beyonce dropped any of the things that we've done for her, is once again going to be adding on to value because I don't want the credit just to say I did it. I want to add value to Beyonce.
Absolutely.
I want to make her bigger than she already is
Yeah.
if I'm going to do something with her.
Well, you have the biggest hater. And that's out right now. Let me tell you, Kyle was blasting that thing in here.
We listened to it this morning.
It is crazy.
Sounds
okay?
good, bro.
We
Thank
love
you.
it.
I said this sounds like another party banger right here. Like I could
Fire.
The reason why I feel like it's gonna do well because it feels good.
Yes.
It's a feel-good song.
Yes.
It doesn't have the energy of, sometimes the music can get a little rowdy, a little thuggish at times, a little angry. But this is a feel-good song, and it feels like I want to be in a party with a drink in my hand with this,
And we
having
all
a good
got
time.
haters. We all got haters,
Yeah,
so we
man.
can relate to
Amen.
this. What
Amen.
made you go back behind the mic and actually put out a record instead of going behind the scenes this time or behind the pen?
Well, I love that you asked that question. These last 3.5 years been really interesting. The pandemic had hit me in the gut real tough, and I wasn't ready for it. And I dropped an album in the pandemic. It was called Black Filter, and I loved that album because of the work I put into it. I know the work that I put into things. I know my intention, and I put so much work into it. 2019 was one of my best years, period. I was in a movie, this, that, all type of things. Cardi B, the City Girls, all type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm creating this album that is like, oh man, this is my best work. Like everything before this was just me practicing an appetizer. This was like, hey, you can define Trinidad James by this Black Filter album. And then the only thing that could have stopped me was God. And then the pandemic happened. And it stopped me with the first mindset that I had, like, God, why you do this to me?
Yeah.
Like, did I not do the work?
Yeah.
And then I realized it's like, no, he's not doing this to me. He's doing it for me. And I realized that's how I was able to.
Come on now.
That's how I was able to start my brand, Onward, Dad Socks, and get back to what my original dream was, which was doing a store. I got into music to have a store, not to be famous. But God was like, "Oh, you got more to show, so I'm gonna give you this challenge before I give you the store."
Right.
And so I say that to say that when the album didn't do well in 2020, I focused. I got the chance. I got the call from Saucony is how you really say it.
Saucony.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. And they hit me up. It's like, "Hey, you still want to do that shoot?" I planted a seed in 2018. They hit me in the pandemic. Like, "Hey, you still want to do that sneaker?" I said, "Yes, I do."
Yeah.
Because it allowed me to take my mind off of what was happening to me and stop being a victim. You got to get out of that victim so that you could get back in your bag again. And, fashion is my first love. So I was like, oh, great. Started the brands, boom, 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 feeling right. When 2021 started, we did behind the scenes, and we had like the #3 record, because this is when TikTok and Billboard became one.
Yeah.
We had the #3 record on there with a young lady named Tay Money from Dallas, Texas. We did that record.
Yeah.
And that went through the moon.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, boom. I understand the assignment.
Yeah,
Like,
I remember that song.
We did the whole thing, the hair, the makeup, the nails, the da-da-da-da.
That's
like,
wow.
everything, you know what I'm saying? And so when 2021 started, I had to make a decision. And I was like, I got a lot on my plate. I'm about to do my first sneaker, and your first sneaker is like your first album. You got your whole life to do it. And you got to be right, because if you mess it up, it's going to kill all the legacy I have
Especially
in sneakers.
you with this fashion. Like, come on.
If I mess up my first sneaker.
Now, if Tiger Woods messed it up, we expect that. Like, that's normal.
I don't care what, Tiger Woods is wearing.
Yeah. He don't look fashionable at all.
Right. Sure. Whatever. But if Trinidad drop a bad shoe, it's going to be like, bruh, it's going to make you question everything I did before, because that's how our minds are working based off the internet. And so I had to make a key decision. I was like, man, the things behind the scenes with these girls going crazy. I got my first sneaker collection, all these things coming. I got a big event coming up in the end of 2021. I'm with Complex Con. And I was like, I won't be able to do all three at a high level: Trinidad, behind the scenes, and these brands. And so I put Trinidad, I gave Trinidad a break, because I still felt a type of way. Even though I got out of the victim, I'm still human. I still had a piece of like, oh my God, this album didn't do well, and this album is crazy. And so I put Trinidad on the back burner 2021 to focus on other people's careers. I was like, I'm going to pour in even more into my girls and make that even a bigger thing. And then I'm going to crush my shoe. And that's exactly what I did. And so 2021, 2022, that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing 2023. Same thing. And then I got that itch of like,
Not that kind of itch.
No. That itch of I miss me.
Right.
Like me. Like, the guys are saying, hey, you've been doing a lot of pouring into other people.
Let's get back to
it.
Hey,
let's get back to you.
Right.
And I never stop, working for self. It's just I stopped putting it out because I know the type of responsibility that comes when you put out good records. Like us, all the things, the rollouts that we've been doing, the things that Think Is a Game TIG set up for me. Like, we've been rolling. You know what I'm saying? We got like 4 things a day, every day. You know what I'm saying? And I know the responsibility that come with it because, I did all go everything. I know what comes with the success of a record. And I just know that mentally I had to get to that place. And so I say all that to say that by the time us coming into this right now, it really started last year, the second half of last year, where I was like, okay, I've done a lot for others. And in the midst of even doing well for others, they still take advantage of you. And when I started realizing that people wasn't appreciating fully me pouring into them, because I'm passionate. If I say I care about you, I care. I actually do. I'm going to show you all the actions to show you that I do. But when I realized that you're not reciprocating that or even truly appreciating that, then I had to do what was best for me and just started pouring back into myself. And so we dropped a thing every month last year, starting in July. Boom, 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 boom. And then Christmas, I did On the Radar for the first time. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this record and I'm going to do another record. And so we released the My Biggest Hater, a snippet of it on the Radar, and it went crazy. And I was like, you know what? It's the energy I need to come into the new year because I want to focus on me. Exactly. It ain't like I'm not going to work with, I'm always helping somebody. Well, trust me. But I was like, I just feel it. Like I just feel like
it's coming back to
you know,
you.
like
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Superpower.
it's like
Yeah.
you know, it's in my hair. Like my hair, my curls is tingling. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make music fun again, and this is an example that my biggest hater is. You know, my biggest hater starts with me. And like that's where I even got the idea from. Like my biggest hater comes from me. I'm like getting it, doubting myself, not feeling that I deserve the success that I had. I went through that in my career too. I'm not feeling for a while that I deserved the success that came my way. So I was hating on myself.
I wanted to, because you mentioned that a few times just today in this conversation. You talked about being in a bad place, not feeling like you deserve what you want, you know, getting through a certain moment in order for you to get to certain records.
Yes, sir.
So obviously that's an important component to your journey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we all know that nowadays everybody's in a space where we're more aware of mental health. We're more aware of our feelings, and people are going to kind of deal with that in a way that they weren't in the past.
Yes.
For you, when you were in that space, what allowed you, or what tools did you use, or what was it that helped you get from that space of doubting yourself and feeling down about yourself to where you are now, you're ready to roll and you got things going and you're on a positive path?
It's beautiful. I love that you asked this question. The first time I was ever depressed in life was 2014. And what I used then, it started with just not doing music. Well, I couldn't. I had writer's block. So I never really watched TV like that. So I started watching Netflix and just watching shows to just get my mind off of the thing that was depressing me.
Right.
And then what actually kicked it was the first time I started helping other people. That was 2014. So the behind the scenes thing kind of started in 2014, but it started with my people, like my close circle of people. And my artist, who is still my artist now, we have a record out called Joyland. His name is Big Grams or Grams. I helped him with his project, in 2014. And it's almost like as soon as I did that, it was like the universe, God, if you're not a godly person, the universe, was like, you get it, and lifted that burden off my shoulder.
Yeah.
So helping others for me is what worked.
Nice.
And then the next time that I got depressed, which was the pandemic, was stop making yourself the victim.
You mentioned that earlier too. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that now, the beautiful thing about it, at my store right on top of the Underground,
Let's go.
boom, boom, boom. Every Sunday at 7 p.m., we do a mental health event called Reflection Sundays.
I love it.
And it's open to the community. People love it. All different walks of life come in, and it's for entrepreneurs and creatives. And, we put our feelings inside of our reflection jar. Don't sign your name on it. My mama makes banana bread for it every Sunday.
Love it.
I'm just creating a safe space. The same thing that I do for all my girls on the agency side for 567 is the same thing now that I'm doing for the city of Atlanta when it comes to mental health. So I invite anybody that's listening to this, to come check us out on the Sunday at 7 p.m. at the store right on top of the Underground, 72 Upper Alabama. Reflection Sundays at 7 p.m. And, communication is the thing that keeps us from, scaling, being better, at dwelling. And that's all we try to help each other with, man.
Yeah.
If you could communicate through your superpower better, people can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dope. I love it.
I love that. So what about personally? Like, you have all this going on professionally. I feel like we never hear anything or see anything about your private life. Is that on purpose, or is that because you're working so much you barely have one?
It's both. I understand, like let's use relationships, right? Is that I get this world that I'm in because I've been in it, and I've been in it at high levels and low levels. So I really get it. If somebody or my partner is not of this world, it is a lot for them.
Yeah.
And I appreciate women that are not in my world a lot. Just because I still love the real world. I still love real people. And so that's why I keep it private, not just for me, but also so there's it's one bit of innocence in my life. You know what I'm saying? When I have a partner that I'm, really into and things like that. But then I'm also so busy too that if you can't give a woman time, then you're going to fail every time.
Yeah.
Because that's what a relationship is based off of, being able to pour in at the right time. And I'm in my hustle. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the morning hustle right now.
I know that's right. Come on now.
So it's like when I got to get it, if you don't get how I get it, it's going to put a rift between us. And I don't like any rift in my ecosystem when I'm trying to get to a place that's going to benefit the both of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing this just for me. If I was just doing it just for me, then I don't need to be with you. I could just go to...
guy that stays at home, or you want a guy that's going out there to get the bag?
You know,
With the banana bread.
I need my own bag.
Come on now. I got you.
Thank you. But yeah, that's really what it is, man. That I know that I'm really, really busy, so that my time when it comes to relationship is something that is very, very not always of the best. And I work with so many women, so I know what's on women's mind. Like I work with a lot of women, so I know what's going on out here. I know what dudes are doing. I know my partners.
Yeah.
I know what I know what's up, and I don't want to be another person subscribing to, like, don't label me in with that. However, when it really works out, where my mind is at, when it really works out, when that right partner is in there and it's really hitting the right way, you know what I'm saying? Like, then we're going to go all the way. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
It is, man. I love it. Yo, the biggest hater is out. We want everybody to check that out.
Please.
If they have not already, pull it up. Trinidad James making that song. And it's going to be fire. I think it's going to be one of them summer bangers.
Hey, why not, man?
You know
Come
what I'm
double
saying?
Dutch with Dad, man.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
And
I don't know how to double dutch.
We
just
got the
about
double
that.
Dutch
Crazy.
aerobics. They'll teach you. When that
don't
double
wanna
Dutch
get
video
hit.
I posted, did you see the double Dutch video I posted?
I did. That's why I even was talking about
I
it.
learned to double Dutch that night 5 minutes before I did
No,
that.
you didn't.
I had never double Dutched in my life.
Okay, you was acting
get
like
you
you've
in
been
there.
doing this for quite some time.
I just blacked out. I was just like, oh my God, I am in it right now. But they are really good. They give you the basics, and if you are good at listening, you'll be dad in 2 seconds.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I'm in it.
Appreciate you, bro. I love this conversation today, man. I think you're a perfect example in a very positive way about don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? People might have heard one song, didn't know what you've been doing all these years, and then you get a chance to sit down and hear everything that you have going on. Very positive, very uplifting, and we support everything that you got going on.
Thank you. Everybody check out My Biggest Hater. Make sure that you focus on your mental health. If you need help with that, Reflection Sundays, you know what I'm saying, every Sunday, 7 p.m. on top of the Underground at our store, the Homework flagship store. Check me out on social media. I do my dad talks almost every day, where I drop a gem every day. Dad Talk 3000. It's a lot of amazing things going on. I'm building a really great ecosystem, and I just want to be able to pour value back into the city of Atlanta, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you guys for, once again, the morning hustle.
Yeah.
There it is, man. Trinidad James hanging out with us. We appreciate you, bro.
Crazy.
Hey.